Hello and greetings, everybody. Today I am going to talk about a few extra grains of melanin and its evolutionary significance. The extra grains of the pigment melanin possessed by some individuals have been the source of racial conflicts, apartheid, slavery, segregation, persecution. I am not going to talk about the philosophical or moral aspects of this situation, nor am I going to discuss the biochemical pathways or the genetic control of pigmentation, or for that matter, the diseases that result from excess of this pigment. Rather, I am going to talk about the evolutionary significance of pigmentation in Homo sapiens. Quoting once again that famous geneticist whom I quoted last time also, Theodosius Dobzhansky, who said, "Nothing in biology makes sense unless one views everything in the light of evolution." We have broadly two types of melanin, eumelanin and pheomelanin, as you are aware of. Dermatologists are not very familiar with the third type of melanin, namely neuromelanin, which seems to play an important role in health and disease in humans. The melanocyte is a cell that has been subjected to extensive research by a broad spectrum of specialists. Now, why this fascination with the melanocytes? There could be two compelling reasons for this. One is that our understanding of the behavior of this cell will eventually enable us to control skin color, to give color where it is wanted, as in vitiligo, and to take away unwanted pigment. A rather utopian dream at present, but a dream nevertheless, which is claimed to be fulfilled by the innumerable fairness products available over the counter, particularly in India and in Africa. This aspiration for a fairer skin existed even amongst the fair races, white races, as seen by women in the olden days, Victorian times, always carried a parasol, it's an umbrella, to avoid tanning of their skins. And going still further back, Sabrina, the second wife of the mad King Nero, she is said to have regular baths in donkey's milk to preserve the whiteness of her skin. Secondly, our ability to selectively destroy the melanocyte will give us absolute mastery over the dreaded melanoma. Getting back to evolution, there is no doubt at all that Homo sapiens originated in the depths of the dense African forests about 160,000 years ago. They were black and they were nude. So the first question to be asked would be, why was primitive Homo sapiens black while in the depths of the African forest? The immediate assumption would be that he was black to protect him against the harsh equatorial sun. But then, hardly any sun's rays could penetrate into the dense forest through the foliage that was present. So, obviously, we need to find another explanation for the black skin of early man. A more logical explanation would be that the pigment he had was there to protect him against the carnivorous predators that were roaming around in the forests. Because of his black skin, he merged imperceptibly with the darkness of the forest, a perfect camouflage. Just imagine an albino in such a situation. He would have stood out like a lighthouse, and in no time he would have become lunch for one of the carnivores. and Homo sapiens would have become extinct like his predecessors. Secondly, though the temperature in the forest would have been very high during the daytime, the nights could get bitterly cold. And as I said before, they were nude. The Homo sapiens was nude at that time. So to prevent the hypothermia, the heat absorbed by the melanin during the daytime is radiated inwards to keep the person warm. So the extra grains of melanin had survival value against predators and against hypothermia, thus supporting Darwin's theory of adaptation and survival. There was no question of protection against UV light induced cancer at that stage in evolution. Being restless in nature, Homo sapiens decided to leave the depths of the African forest and venture out into the open savannas. This was around 100,000 years ago. Now these extra grains of melanin gave primitive man protection against the intense UV radiation of equatorial sun. That is why even today skin cancer, including melanomas, are much less common amongst the dark-skinned races. But then skin cancer per se does not play a significant role in survival of our species, maybe individuals, but not species. So why then did tropical man continue to remain black? Wasserman has a theory for this. According to him, the principal organ of defense in the body, human body, is the RES, the reticular endothelial system. Now we call it the macrophage phagocyte system, MPS. This system is constantly being challenged by bacterial, viral, and parasitic infections, which abound in the tropics. In Africans, as compared to Caucasians, the RES is hypertrophy. The activity of the RES is inversely related to adrenocortical activity. So increased activity of RES against infection results in decreased adrenocortical activity, which in turn leads to increased production of ACTH and beta melanocyte stimulating hormone, causing the pigmentation of tropical man. Dark skin also protects against UV light induced photolysis of folates. Folate deficiency during pregnancy causes neural tube defects in the fetus. Folic acid also is required for, it's important for spermatogenesis and in reproduction. So once again, important for the continuity of Homo sapiens. Melanin, though photoprotective against long ultraviolet and visible light, can act as a photosensitizer in the short ultraviolet range, helping to eliminate genetically damaged cells. So, the extra grains of melanin that early Homo sapiens possessed enabled man to survive through the millennia. My next talk, I will discuss why the extra grains of pigment, melanin, were lost in some parts of the world during migration, and also the role of neuromelanin in evolution. Thank you.